and down. My glasses are going to be like Ray J's hat. If you know, you know. Hey y'all, welcome back to Key is King. Today we'll be wrapping up the final part of my series, The Token Black Friend. It's a KIKI-360 finale. My first. I don't know if every topic will have multiple parts, but this, I started off with a hefty topic, so it deserved a few parts. And if you've been tuning in to my previous videos, I want to start by saying thank you. I appreciate the views, I appreciate whatever conversations, thoughts, internal dialogues this has started, because I really wanted this to be a conversation piece more than anything. And I really hope that it has been that. And I hope for most people that have given a damn to even watch or think about this, that it's been productive. So, me and my ums. I'm gonna get maybe a shirt that just says and then that'll be my way of protesting until I stop filling the air with ums. But, we are talking, if you've been watching my previous videos, you know that today I'm talking about the role that I played as the token black friend. And the overarching word that I think I'll start with is complicit, because as the token black friend, in my experience, in my opinion, being complicit, I think, comes with the territory. And I say that from the timeline in which I started. Being a middle schooler, being a high schooler, going through youth into adulthood, I think that that was a part of my personal experience. And from the videos, if you haven't gotten that sense or put that 1 + 1 equation together, then I will do it for you. I was complicit in so much, but I also was complicit for reasons that I already described. It was survival mode for me, it was genuine friendship, it was genuine happiness, it was genuine love, it was protection, it was so many things, it was layered. And I think, I know the more you draw attention to something, the more it stands out, but I cannot help but do it. Maybe it's because I've indulged in a little herbal essence as part of my preparation and process to these videos. I don't even know if that really is working out for me, but we'll fucking see. And it's always a fun game to see what's going to make it into the edit, because I really do be chatting and mumbling and babbling in between thoughts. I think a big reason why I experienced that complicit nature, because I think there are some people, like I went to school, for a matter of fact, with people that were strong from the jump. People that have always been strong in their conviction. People that have always been confident, self-assured, supported. So I can't say it's universal, but also I wouldn't consider the people that I'm thinking of, specifically one person, as a token black friend. So there's that. I think even maybe being in the spot to be a token black friend, depending on who you are, has certain implications and maybe says enough about that person. Because for me, I think I was extremely, I was extremely insecure, extremely in need of a place to be. To give you the optics, I'm an only child from a single parent household that didn't feel, the older they got, that they had strong family connections. They had a person or people that just had them. I didn't have that. I say all that to say I feel all signs pointed me in the directions I was going. And that was fine. And as I went through in my previous video, I think so much of the journey when looking back at it, there's so many influences that come from so many places. I talked about my family life, and it goes beyond my family, because even people that I met, kids at school, camps, after school, like, the message was kind of universal at that point, but as I stated before, I had a lot of things going on. I was a young kid that was going to grow up to be a gay man, and that journey and the parallels. I say it all the time, and I said it well before I had a YouTube channel. I live at the intersections of many different things. The intersection of gay and black, the intersection of chubby and American, well, that being American, it doesn't really matter, but like we do have fat phobic people in this world. So like gay and black, fat and black, even black and American, you know, being fat and gay. Those are all different things that as time goes on, as you are developing a sense of self, that all play a factor in the decisions you make, the friends you choose. I've already detailed in my other videos that my family life wasn't exactly giving me the support, the love that I felt that I needed at that time, and my friendships definitely were. So it's something that it all makes sense with the directions in which I went as far as friendships, as far as becoming the token black friend. I had situations where I was kicked out of my house twice. I say I think when I know a lot, and that is a habit that I am slowly breaking, because that's a learned behavior not worth having. But I was kicked out as a teenager twice. One time was kind of a short-lived thing. The second time was 2 to 3 weeks maybe, and it was my best friend came to my rescue, he and his family, and I say that to say that there was so much going on that young me didn't even really think about this stuff. As I detailed in my last video, it wasn't really until late into high school, leaving high school until like the college years, that I even really understood firmly that I was and had become like the token black friend. I had people that I graduated with, friends of mine, say things to me about my friend group, question me about if they were truly my friends, and my confirmation bias was on like just a deadlock. There was nothing you could really tell me, because what I was experiencing with my friends was way better than what I was experiencing with my family. So that confirmation bias, really, I had a journey with that. And if I haven't said it already, because I don't know how I'm editing these videos, implicit bias and confirmation bias are the two biases that really were driving the car in my experience as the token black friend. I just truly had beliefs that you could not shake from my system. I believed in situations and people despite nothing that I heard or had even sometimes low-key experienced. But it was all for a reason. And getting back to that complicit word, that is a casualty of being the token black friend. But living at all those different intersections and having all of those experiences, it was everything all at once. It was like the everything bagel of like experience. It doesn't cause confidence. It doesn't cause security. Being a single child from a single parent household, which eventually became a negative relationship for a long time, there was no validation in my bones. There was no real security. There was no anything. Like, I've had people since that time throughout my life, like, we've had conversations, because I have often just run my mouth, been a blabbermouth about my own business. Hence why we're here, right? Things really don't change, I guess, sometimes. But people have often viewed me as maybe outwardly confident, or maybe stoic, or put together, or not falling apart outwardly. But I say all the time, you fake it till you make it. Faking it till you make it, sometimes shit turns real, sometimes you just get really good at it. But internally, and I'm sure for some people that know me outside of this screen and have experienced me, they have seen it themselves. They probably have labeled it, maybe chatted about it unbeknownst to me, but I was never as confident as I seemed. I was never as sure maybe as I seemed. I was sure in the ability to open and run my mouth, I was sure and confident in just saying whatever I thought and kind of having knee-jerk reactions, and I've always been reactive, especially younger me. I've now turned that reactiveness into responding as best as I can. I think the truth of the matter is, the place that I was at, I felt so unsure, just like in the wind about a lot of stuff. So hell or high water, my friend group gave me stability, gave me normalcy, gave me opportunity. It gave me things that as a young person I just was not getting. Now as I grew and as this turned and transitioned into adulthood, things I think just slowly started to change. You start to become more aware of how you feel, more aware of what you think, and how does that really vibe or match with the things around you. And so the role that I played became complicated. But to a young mind, you're going to go towards the shiny thing. And I think, getting back to confirmation bias, I think I was just, for a long time, especially by the time I had not a positive relationship with my mom, I was just dead set on not being involved as much as I could. I think I was dead set on finding the negative in my home life, which there was, but obviously there was positive too. It was just that like my friends became everything, my outside life of home became everything, and there was, even at its worst, it was better than the alternative, I think. And I think no matter what kind of happened around me, that was just the belief that I went with. And in a lot of times, and for a very long time, it really was true. So when you have what's happening in front of you kind of confirming and going along and validating those things, I think anybody's going to full swan dive into that. I think that's a fair statement. In hindsight, it is amazing to me how the human mind and experience works, because being young, naive, innocent in a lot of ways, you just do things that when you look back you're like, what the fuck? But at the end of the day, when you don't know, you don't know. And all of these experiences ultimately shape, guide, teach you things. So it's hard to almost come to terms sometimes when you're reflecting with like the decisions you made or the things that happened, but when you don't know, you don't know. To put it plainly, I feel like younger me, if we're going to start this timeline and keep true to the timeline of middle school, high school, I think I noticed early the benefits of being the token black friend, because let's be quite honest, there are benefits. The more diverse of the people you have around you, I think, is beneficial. Variety is a beneficial thing. And I think that's a fair thing to say. So me being young and realizing that I wasn't getting things, like I said in my other video, certain things from home, family life, that I was getting from my friendships, made it feel like an essential. I think connection, human connection, friendship in general is an essential. The easiest way to say it and communicate it, because I'm internally trying to come up with the words. I feel in my experience that I played every role as the token black friend. I was friend, advisor sometimes, and this goes beyond my friend group because I had other token black friendships and relationships, some that I'm very specifically thinking about, where these types of roles happen. But being whatever I just said, I don't even know what I just said, but provider, advisor, protector, friend, just all of the things. I feel like I tried to be everything to everyone as much as I could, and that's not a long game to play. That's not something that is realistic, and it's something that doesn't really become all that genuine at a certain point, because nobody can keep that up unless you are an AI robot. And as I explained with my previous videos, my experience with like Black Lives Matter in that COVID era of time, I think my implicit biases started to change. Maybe the people that I felt were a savior or crucial to my survival or really giving me love, that feeling had changed, because not only am I changing, they're changing as people, and we're not communicating about real shit at the end of the day. So I feel like this group that maybe I saw as a savior became just anything but that as I transitioned through my years, and that I just kind of believe that like harm of some sort was coming to me. And I'll detail another experience that was a domino in a chain, but I, leaving college, had really had my breaking point with my home situation. Things were escalating to a point that was uncomfortable and unlivable for me, so I was taken in, and it's something that to this day I appreciate more than I can say, but the experience taught me a lot, because I part-time took a trip from token black friend to token black family member, if you will. The God's honest truth is that yet and still it feels like I am towing a line. It feels like I have to watch what I say. I still feel very much in the motions and in stages of being the token black friend. It's an experience that has a tail. It's an experience that has a ripple effect. I'll explain it to you this way. When I finally moved out of my parental home, I was still operating under a set of expectations and just laws that no longer were even being put onto me, but I had like put onto myself. And that's almost a similar feeling to being in this space with certain friendships and relationships that somewhere in this video that I've referenced or talked about. It's like this feeling that I'm still protecting something or having to be careful, when in all reality I'm genuinely just sharing my experience. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, this is not even meant to be harmful. This is bigger than me in many different ways, and I'm sharing my experiences for myself, but ultimately for anybody that could benefit from one person sharing their story. So what I wrote down helps me kind of navigate that, because I was becoming very overwhelmed in all this process, and that's just because, as I said, I believe in the first video, I'm saying some things pretty publicly that I haven't really talked about or communicated before, but I feel like I owe it to myself, and I am an exposure therapy, glutton for punishment type of person anyway, and honestly, vulnerability doesn't scare me, if this hasn't proven anything else. But I'm going to read through this and continue this conversation. I wrote some things down to help just guide my thoughts, because it's very overwhelming for me to make this portion of the video. My role as a token black friend. I sometimes used to feel like a victim. I sometimes used to feel like it was my villain origin story. It gives me anxiety just trying to recall it. In a world where I believe everything happens for a reason, it's hard to say I have regrets. If anything, I just wish I could go back and say more, which is a regret. Something I still struggle with, honestly. My biggest fear remains ending up completely alone. The confirmation bias of my young mind believed I was doing everything I needed to do in order to keep my worst fear from coming true. And for a long time, that's exactly what was happening. I defied the odds, proved people wrong, and was the exception. I genuinely experienced love and closeness with my friends. Like all things, it came with a price, and it was a price I was willing to pay. Auto pay. auto pay linked straight to the account. So much good had come from my proximity, but as time went on and things got more serious, and that's just more serious in every way. Growing up, just life gets more serious things start to happen. So, whew. As time went on and things got more serious, my implicit bias began to change. My experience started to make me see, hear, and feel things differently, very differently. Things are meant to change though. Where I let myself and others down was a consistent failure to communicate. Healthy emotional communication is not something that it's not something that was modeled in my home, and it's not something I took the initiative to learn for a very, very long time. I'm just getting in a space where I can just start to communicate effectively. I'm realizing. I think I'm known to be a talker in my day, but there was a lot of time in life, especially when I was younger, I was talking and saying a bunch of nothing. Just nothing. Not something I took the initiative to learn for a very, very, very long time. Wasn't even on my radar. I knew passive aggressive. I knew shutdown. I knew how to communicate anger and hurt if I even chose to speak when I was upset. In pair with my implicit bias shift, I continue to experience token black friend circumstances, even well beyond my friend group. After college graduation, I experienced a whirlwind living situation that took token black anything up a notch. I was a sounding board, I was counsel, and I was what I will consider a part-time family member in this situation. I moved into the situation under the pretense that half of the portion of rent that I was contributing would be saved to the side and utilized when I was ready to move out to put towards a down deposit for my first apartment, which as I speak now I am sitting in. It's been 6 years. 2020 is when I moved here, so as this time, this was about maybe 2017-ish when this all started. But similarly to being the token black friend in a friend circle situation, I was playing many roles in this living situation, as just described. And after playing so many roles within that dynamic, I was pretty much blindsided with how it turned out. The day came where I needed that money for a family emergency and it was not available to me. In that moment, it became that it never would be. Eventually, there was a request for a raise in rent, and I decided I was better off just moving out. As I was writing this and reflecting, something told me to go and look back to confirm the timeline. Because as I said in my previous videos, I'm not trying to sit on the internet and just talk out of my ass for fun. But I did. I went and I looked back, and this situation that I'm talking about, moving out of this living situation, all happened within a month's time of me leaving my group chat with my friends that I referenced in my last video. Which if you haven't seen, go back and watch part 2. And while you're at it, if you haven't watched part 1, start there. It might all make a little more sense. Or maybe not. Maybe just watch them out of order. Anyway, I digress. But that was an aha moment to me because I didn't realize that those things were so close together. Like, I knew roughly the timeline, obviously, because it's my life, but realizing that this situation was happening while my other friendship situation was happening, and the tornado of things I must have been feeling at that time was eye-opening to me. My implicit bias was laced with assumed harm. My saviors and survival essentials became the opposite. In reflection, it was all downhill from there. I held on to one friend from my high school friend group, but that fizzled out in time. That is definitely a story for a different day, maybe. But what I will say to that is gagatandra, the best word I can say. Also currently involved in a weird limbo situation and a few friendships outside of the previously referenced, I continue to navigate feelings of the token black friend, learning to advocate for myself, and learned a lot about myself and the world around me. I've had situations where, even now or in recent times, I've had to navigate, like, is this person harboring feelings that are unbecoming? Harboring and taking in information that may lead me to believe, hey, this person might have some race-related feelings that aren't being spoken out loud, or this person may pity me, especially with people that I have in my life that I've known throughout these times. I sometimes wonder, and have wondered, do people just kind of feel bad for me? But I can't get myself lost in that type of feeling, because that's just not how I live. So I'm going to choose to believe the confirmation bias of the people that I am around don't secretly pity me. I would hate to find that to be true. But the role I play as a token black friend, the circumstances have changed, but I don't know if it is a role that will ever stop. But in terms of what I bring to that role, I think there was a time and a point where I was naive and didn't even realize it was a thing. Then I became aware that it was a thing and was lost in failed communication, hurt feelings, not understanding myself and others, going through phases of not wanting to educate but realizing you're the only source of education or the only resource that can provide certain types of education. It's such a complex thing, but it's taught me to look at people for their actions rather than their words. It's taught me to look at myself before I look at others and what I bring to a situation in a friendship and the type of person and friend that I am and want to be. Being the token black friend can be stressful when not done right. I'll say it that way. Once again, I find myself at the end of this video feeling like I rambled, scrambled, went through a million motions, all the stages of grief, but I think I'll end it with this. We'll call it a Key is King original because I pulled it out of my ass and made it up. But the rest is definitely still unwritten. And if anything I said in this video has hurt anybody, I say try not to take it personally, try not to be hurt, because that's my opinion! Don't you get it? And as always, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I appreciate you for the watch, and I'll be back for something soon.